Staines, Senior Consultant for DeltaThink and Director of Community Engagement for the Open Access Data Analytics tool. I'm really excited to introduce this session. As you know, our industry is currently in a time of great flux. Wait, who am I kidding? I think it's safe to say that our industry is always changing. That's one of the things I love about it. But it does mean that keeping up with trends can be a challenge. As the new kid on the block here, I wanted to take this opportunity to check in with my team to find out what they're noticing in the scholarly communication space. What trends are they watching? What are they most excited about?
There are so many trends in the industry that we could talk about, but when I think about the last year in particular, I think about openness, I think about reflection, and I think about acceleration. Of course, we could talk about open research and open science, and there have been lots of great developments there. But the openness I'm talking about is that many organizations are becoming more open to reevaluating the fundamental ways in which they operate, what they consider their core reason for being, and how they can best partner with and serve their customers. They're becoming open to new ideas, to new and different paths forward, and reflecting, truly evaluating what their positions and contributions have been in the past and what is needed going forward. We're working with several organizations that are rethinking not only their strategies, but also how they make decisions, how they structure, and they're not just thinking about it, they're doing things, they're taking action and embracing the iterative nature of learning and of growing, and they're leveraging that to view their world in different ways. I think about acceleration because the realities of the past year have made certain micro and macro trends move even faster. And that in turn has partially set the stage for this reflection and openness that I'm talking about. And what excites me the most is that our clients are serious. They're seriously and tangibly considering what has worked for their communities and their businesses in the past and how that is changing. Historically, the as-is has often choked out consideration of the to-be in many parts of our industry. But for the first part, or for the first time in my tenure in publishing, I feel like the to-be, it actually has a fighting chance to emerge and to grow into something special. And it's really exciting to be in a position to help folks work through that and derive concrete strategies and execution plans to help their organizations move forward.
Over the last year, I think COVID has forced many organisations to ask questions about the bigger picture. It's easy to talk about strategic issues in abstract, but there's nothing like a crisis to force things into sharp, practical focus. We're seeing that I think organisations are becoming more comfortable using data-driven and evidence-based decision-making processes. Over the last few years, we've seen new initiatives such as Plan S, the rise of technology-based tools to measure what we do, such as on Paywall and Outmetrics. And we've also seen how the library community is deploying data science, if you think of examples such as ESAC. These have all led to a different sort of discussion, I think, with less reliance on claim and counterclaim and a greater reliance on looking at where the numbers actually lead. We've found that organisations are also taking a portfolio-wide approach. They want to understand better ways to measure what they do. Open access in particular is now less a separate ideological thing and is now embedded as part of the landscape. So the questions we're seeing organisations ask are moving away from why is open access important, for example, to how are the patterns within the market moving. We're finding that organisations want to see both trends in overall activity and the details directly affecting them. And the exciting thing about DeltaThink's work is that we've got opportunities to do both of these and to drill down into this sort of detail. This means we can move beyond the typical static high-level reports and really dig into answering questions that enable organisations to say, so what does this actually mean for my organisation in practice? Finally, I think we're also seeing a shift in our client base to include more buy-side. Larger buyers are becoming more sophisticated. And although some sellers may see that this is an uncomfortable, perhaps even threatening situation, I think in the mid to long term, it will lead to a healthier marketplace with more opportunity for all.
After spending the last 5 years working in open infrastructure, I'm excited to continue my activities around open with the Open Access Data Analytics tool. I'm thrilled to be able to work more closely with data, especially information and analysis that publishers and libraries can use to inform their future strategies. I'm seeing more organizations seeking ways to direct their investment towards open infrastructure and open tools, at least in part to ensure that community-governed options achieve sustainability. I love to explore the many preconceived and often misconceived notions around open source platforms and tools, explaining new technology to non-technical folks like me. There are a lot of new players entering the fray for both journals and books, and I'm particularly keeping an eye on the open monograph space. Barriers around business models, author and institutional support, discovery, and distribution are all coming down, and that means that the possibilities for unique collaborations are increasing moving forward.
Hi, I'm Bonnie Gruber, Delta Think Partner and Practice Director. When I think of trends over the last year, I can't help but to consider education and the dramatic disruption in delivery, focus, expectations, and overall learning. Here at Delta Think, we had begun to address noticeable changes in education pre-COVID, from the creation of materials and technologies all the way through delivery, but certainly COVID accelerated all of those changes. Now I feel like we've entered into a period of opportunity and excitement and are exploring different channels, audiences, technologies, and new ways to create content. And we see this in all areas of education, from foundational content in colleges and universities to professional development, all the way through lifelong learning across a professional's career. As organizations both expand educational offerings and diversify portfolios, we encourage you to ask questions such as, how can you build engagement with all of your content and educational offerings? How are you leveraging opportunities to deliver increased value for your educator and your student user base? Do you fully understand your learners' journeys? How are you using technology to enhance and innovate current and new solutions? If we know anything, we know that change is constant. We recognize that education is an exciting trend to be a part of right now, and we hope we can help you manage the change.
On the whole, our projects this year have been focused on high-level strategies, which is really gratifying to be involved in and exciting to see. The vast majority of our work, whether it is around technology, content, market, is by design strategy focused. But this past year in particular, clients have been coming to us at a greater pace, looking to develop brand new overarching strategic directions or re-architect, reinvent, revitalize large-scale areas of their business, which feels like a change. So rather than organizations looking to quickly patch or rejigger some process or product to accommodate changes in workflow or delivery as a result of the pandemic, they're taking a thoughtful step back, or even 2 or 3 steps back, and looking at the organization overall to see what can they or should they be doing more holistically based on what they know now. So how can they take this opportunity right now and, rather than just reacting, really use it to reinvent and streamline and come out of this year of change having built something strategically better? For example, we've had multiple clients looking at their entire enterprise to assess current state and benchmark that against the market through in-depth market research around best practices, opportunities for growth, voice of the customer insights, things of that nature, to really revitalize their business or portfolio so that it's fit for purpose now and into the future. It is a time of really looking deeply at what your customers or our clients' customers or community want and what new opportunities for growth or additional revenue streams, new markets they need to explore. So all in all, what we are seeing is that our industry is really, by and large, stepping up and using this opportunity to effect meaningful and sustainable change in their organizations and explore strategic opportunities that will truly position them for long-lasting success.
Hi, I'm Michael Piszkow, Senior Consultant at Delta Think, where I help clients implement their strategic initiatives. Most recently, I've been helping clients manage their online platform migration projects. I'd like to share a few observations about online journal platforms and how to be successful in a platform migration project. The major vendors, Adapon, Highwire, and Silverchair, have built a significant barrier of entry such that all but the largest publishers could not possibly create the same baseline of reader and publisher-facing features. So with the build versus buy decision, it's always going to favor buying. What differentiates the major platforms isn't so much the checklist of base features for researchers, it's more driven by how well they serve the publishers. Features like usage analytics, SEO, integration with downstream depositories have become much more important. What also differentiates the major vendors is their ability to anticipate and add new features to their platform, allowing publishers to ride the innovation wave as the platform improves. To be successful in a migration project, the people and processes are going to be as important as the platform technology. Over the course of a migration project, the publisher staff will need to fill roles that may be new to their normal production activities. There'll be at times they need to be a designer, a user experience expert, a content engineer, an SEO analyst, a QA tester, trainer, and a project manager. Sure, the platform vendors provide some guidance here, but often they defer to the publishers to synthesize and articulate the requirements, do the testing, and the internal training. It can be very helpful to publishers to bring in a project manager who's been through this implementation project before and can identify when to bring in expertise where needed and set up processes to help the migration project stay on track.
Another trend I'm watching closely is the evolution of virtual conferences and plans for hybrid meetings, maybe even as soon as the fall. Many meetings are seeing increased participation, and early careers are definitely joining in greater numbers. Some events have switched up their presentation times to appeal to more time zones from both a presenter and an attendee standpoint. I'm seeing experimentation around business models, price points, interactive formats, and new platforms. More and more sessions are being recorded for later viewing, and I hear that in some instances it's possible to register even after an event is over to view the content later. Access to conference content can be a great member benefit or a revenue generator. If you're a conference junkie like me, you're probably participating in more of them than ever. I'd love to hear from folks about what they've tried, what to avoid, and where do we go from here, as I don't see things simply snapping back to pre-COVID models now that we know what's possible.
So thinking about some trends that we're seeing out in the market, I'm going to echo some of the comments from my colleagues. First, Lori Carlin spoke about the definite trend, the intentional trend toward content strategy that has the customer at the center, the intentional breaking down of perhaps former silos to put the customer at the center of that content strategy and what that really means and looks like. Coupled with that, Anne spoke about the corresponding trend toward really looking at, if you're going to have a customer-centric content strategy, what that means across the broader organization, structurally, organizationally, culturally. And those two things taken together, those two trends, I think is what's most exciting right now in our industry. You know, you can't really have one without the other, and for both to be successful, they have to be happening simultaneously. So I think that those two trends happening together are what make me the most excited about what's to come for the next 5 or 10 years in our industry.
Thank you for joining us today, and thanks to the team for taking the time to share their experiences. Please don't hesitate to reach out to us with any questions or even just for a chat. We'd love to hear the trends you're keeping your eye on. Until next time.